The chief executive of AOL, Tim Armstrong, was roundly criticized for wrongly connecting the expensive health problems of two babies born to his employees and the health care reform law to the company's rising health care costs. He eventually apologized for those remarks, just as wrong-headed was his plan to deal with higher costs by changing the way the company contributed to retirement accounts. AOL, which employs about 5,000 people, said that to compensate for the rising costs of health and other employee benefits, it would start contributing to the 401k retirement account of its employees in one lump sum at the end of the year instead of every time it pays workers. In doing so, the company was following the example of several large companies like IBM and Charles Schwab. About 17% of employers matched 401k contributions in an annual lump sum in 2012, up from 12.9% in 2009, according to the Plan Sponsor Council of America. It is easy to see why companies are switching to lump sum contributions. It saves them money. They get to keep until the end of the year the money they would have ordinarily put into workers' accounts every week or every 2 weeks. Businesses that choose this approach also get to keep the money that they would have contributed to the retirement accounts of workers who leave for other jobs or are unfortunate enough to be laid off before the end of the year. But these gains come at the expense of working families that face an increasingly insecure retirement. Studies show that most Americans are not putting aside enough money for retirement, and these new 401k policies make it that much harder for them to do so. Lump sum payments expose workers to potentially greater financial risk because retirement funds that would have been invested in stocks and bonds over the course of a year when companies matched contributions with every paycheck will, under these new policies, be invested all at once at the end of the year. If stocks are rising, as they have been in the last few years, that means the lump sum will be invested in the market when stocks are more expensive than if they were purchased throughout this year. Last Saturday, Mr. Armstrong, along with apologizing, did the right thing in announcing that AOL would reverse the change in its 401k policies. Other companies using this kind of contribution approach or considering adopting it should think twice before the damage it does to employee and retirement plans is effectuated. Last July, Attorney General Eric Holder, Jr. spoke eloquently of the importance of the constitutionally protected news gathering process, the essential role of a free press when it comes to a government accountability and an open society, and the need to better protect journalists from federal leak investigations. At the time, he described policy revisions that supposedly would achieve those goals, including enhanced oversight by senior Justice Department officials and a new presumption that news organizations would be notified when the government sought their records from phone companies, internet providers, and other third parties. Now, 6 months later, Mr. Holder says those policies are being followed, but he has yet to actually issue the new guidelines. Also, and most immediately, he has yet to call off the misguided quest by prosecutors to compel James Risen, a reporter for the Times, who wrote a 2006 book about the Central Intelligence Agency, to reveal a confidential source. Barely a week after Mr. Holder delivered his report to the White House, the Justice Department issued a statement declaring agreement with a chilling 2-1 ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit in Virginia, denying the existence of any reporter's privilege grounded in the First Amendment to protect confidential sources in criminal cases. That has been the department's position on the case from its start, to Mr. Risen's failed appeal in January to the full circuit court.
It's good.